always love having Scoop Mish on Coast to Coast. And I must be playing way too much basketball and getting up at 5 in the morning to ball because I didn't know you got that gig with the Marlins doing pre and post game shows. Congratulations. I think it's fantastic. You know, I'm a quasi Marlins fan because of my relationship with the Marlins through the years. Always liked them. They always treated me like gold. I think it's great you're doing the games. Congratulations.
Thanks, Scott. You know, it's definitely a big step for me to be able to do this and to be on, you know, especially a lot of the pregame shows and developing a lot of insight and things that are going around the league and also things with the Marlins too. And it was really great. SportsGrid really came through for me as well, you know, letting me do that and sort of doing it as a hobby, secondary type gig with doing Newswire every day. So I won't miss any of those shows. All night games throughout the season, the day games, I'll be here with everybody else. But it all starts for me with that gig with the FanDuel Sports Network opening day will be my first game.
That's just fantastic. So how are they going to be? You've, you know, obviously seen them now from the jump, and you're going to be a part of it. What are we looking at here with this young club?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me that. You know, I wasn't really prepared to talk about the Marlins on the show today, but I will tell you that I spent some time this weekend with them, and they have some really fascinating ideas going on right now. Now, Scott, I think that in terms of the major league product this season, I think we do have to understand that there is a transition going on right now with the Marlins. Make no mistake about it. I can't sit here and tell you that they're going to win 90 games or anything like that. I think they'll be better than they were last year. They certainly can't start off as bad as they were last year. It's not possible. They didn't win a game for almost 2 weeks at the start of the season. But they're trying a lot of new things. I don't want to use Moneyball or the Rays or anything like that, but I think you're going to see a lot of different incorporation of different things they're doing on the field. They're trying new things in spring training too, trying to get different edges with both technology and competition. So I got to tell you, if some of this stuff ends up working and it gives them an edge in an almost impossible division to compete in, I think that's all you can ask for. Because Scott, I mean, right now, as far as I am concerned, I think some of these low markets have to say, like, baseball is broken at this point. We are not going to be able to spend like the Dodgers and the Mets and the Phillies and some of these other teams, the Yankees. And so let's try and beat them at a different game. I know it sounds like the movie. It's not the movie, 2025, but it definitely is something that the Marlins are attempting to do. I'm excited to see it play out.
Well, you know, I knew that they had that they were doing a lot of things. I knew from the broadcast booth. I just found out about you today, so I told you I'm stunned that I didn't know that because I knew they had changed TV announcers, radio announcers, etc.
Yeah.
I knew they had massive turnover in their front office. So it's just been a significant upheaval of things in South Florida with that franchise, no?
Yeah, it has. And at the minor league system too, Scott. I mean, they basically hired all new people at the minor league level as well. So all of the things that they want to incorporate eventually at the major league level are going to happen at the minor league level first, and then you'll start to see some of those things happen in the big league. So look, you really don't know in the end if these things are going to work or if they're going to work out. But Scott, the Dodgers and Marlins are on different planets. You know, like I just until something gets fixed with the new collective bargaining agreement, I mean, everybody just wants to say, oh, just like everybody should just spend and that's it. I mean, there's no way that some teams are going to be able to compete because of the revenue that these other teams make. And so until that gets fixed, why not try something different? Why not be different? And I can tell you, boy, I mean, the Marlins are approaching this spring, Scott, very differently. Those days, Scott, of you going to Bradenton watching the Pirates or you going to Jupiter to watch the Marlins and seeing these guys hanging out, having beers, that ain't happening in Marlins camp. I mean, these guys, from the second they go on the field, they're competing more than I've seen ever in spring training. Will that work? Will that make them more mentally and physically prepared at the start of the season? I mean, your guess is as good as mine, but it's definitely a new day for the Marlins, that's for sure.
Hold on a second, Craig. Mafia, can you get the things to do book out and have Craig Mish be the Marlins GM in 5 years? Because that's going to happen. Just put that in the things to do because he's moving up the food chain. Things to do book, if you could do that. I wanted to ask you a question I'm concerned about, and I know this is premature, but it's reality. A year from now, there's going to be another baseball strike. And I think it's just
Lockout.
terrible news. And whatever. What's the difference? Lockout,
There's a big
strike,
difference.
World War III. I mean, it's coming, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
well, that's
look,
horrible.
It's horrible, but I know everybody always wants to see the player side, and I do understand the player side. But Scott, I mean, I'm sorry to say for the Player Association, I really am, but the NFL has a fantastic product, the best product in the country, maybe the best sports product in the world. Soccer fans would disagree, but they got a salary cap, and so does the NBA, and so does the NHL. The only way to fix this, I think, is to have some sort of salary cap and a floor too, to make sure the teams are spending at the bottom also. Beyond that, there is no stopping the Dodgers, and there's no stopping the Mets. And good for them. They're playing within the rules. They're doing everything that they should, and their fan bases should be elated. But the Twins and the Brewers and the Marlins and the Rays, I mean, these teams are, and Cleveland, they're just never going to do that. And until that happens, you have to strike lightning in a bottle once every 10 or 15 years, or just be the baseball organization in the world and get it done that way and try and compete for a couple of years. That's the only way it gets fixed, Scott. And I hate to say it. I'm not saying that it has to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. But this is going to be the owners locking out the players this time and saying, hey, salary cap or bust.
What do you think, real quick, the A's and Rays situations this year playing in these minor league parks? How do you think that's going to play out?
Yeah, I mean, the Rays are obviously in very big trouble, having to play so many games on the road to start the season. Or, excuse me, so many games at home to start the season because they're afraid of the rain. So they'll play all those games in Tampa at the Yankees facility, I think almost every home game in April and then into May. And then they leave and don't come back because, Scott, in Florida, it's going to rain like every day in June and July and August. So they just don't play any home games. So once that happens, I think that you look at the Rays record at the beginning of the season and you take it with a grain of salt because they're going to be playing so much at home. But in the end, I think they'll be probably a little bit better than 500. And the A's will not.
Craig, I got to run. I love you. Good.